All right, guys, what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you for another live review. Let's take a look back at tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, the January 15th, 2018 episode of Monday Night Raw, the second to last episode of Raw before the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and also the last Raw before next week's big special of the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw next Monday, January 22nd. 2018, which will take place at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Before we get started this Raw, I just want to give you guys a heads up of I'm not really feeling 100% today. I had a really bad cold and I was feeling a little tired and worn out. So if I sound a little really drained out, worn out, that's because of that. So I apologize if I sound really dragged out in this review. So just to get that out of the way, but overall, this episode of Raw, it was a little inconsistent. I mean, it had its good moments. It had some exciting moments as well, such as the shocking, some of the shocker in the end of the main event. But it's a lot of stuff that didn't quite make sense at all. And some things that happened that was good, but then I eventually had a problem with them afterwards. So let's get right into this review real quick. Because again, I just want to go lay down because I'm just not really feeling too well right now. So we start off with just what happened last week between Kane, Brock Lesnar, and Braun Strowman. Strowman makes his way out and he gets on the microphone and he says he's going to tell us a short story that has a happy ending. He says, you see, a beast and a machine met at the Royal Rumble, and the last one standing was a monster and became the Universal Champion, pretty much. Out came Kurt Angle, who would count with security guards. And Strowman tells Angle he was telling a story. Kurt says he has a story too, but it doesn't have a happy ending. Braun put lives in danger last week. It cost them thousands of dollars in damage. Strowman says it could have been worse, which again, to me, in my opinion, was what else could Braun Strowman do that was possibly, worse than, what he did last week? Well, I shouldn't say worse, but it was just, as amazing and entertaining as it was last week. Strowman says it would be worse, but Kurt tells him he created an unsafe working environment, and he's in charge of the superstars backstage and the employees. And what if they get caught in crossfire? Braun says he was just doing his job, and Angle says he wasn't. This is Raw, and they sell things in the ring, not backstage with a grappling hook. Strowman says he does things when and how he wants, and if he wants to walk in a suplex city and rip the walls down, that's what he'll do. If he wants to kick the door to hell in, that's what he'll do. At the Rumble, he wants to be Universal Champion, which he claims he will. Kurt says he's lucky that Brock and Kane can still compete, but it's not going to be a triple threat anymore. In fact, Braun is not going to compete at all because Braun Strowman, you're fired. So that was a shocker. I mean, I was wondering, what repercussions Braun would have based off his actions from last week. Using the grappling hook to pull down the backstage set. But I didn't think they would go out of their way just to actually fire him. Of course, that makes Braun pretty angry. Angle leaves him and Braun follows him to security right behind him as he goes into the back. But of course, that's not all we heard about Braun Strowman for the first hour. I shouldn't say not just for the first hour. Braun is backstage walking and grumbling. He didn't take notice that the security was following him behind him. And they're trying to get him to leave, but he won't do so. He did stare them down and went to commercial break. Like, are we going to come back? There's going to be security all over the place. Not going to be able to see what he actually does. Like, come on now. We've seen all what Braun does. Like, you're not going to show us now. But that wasn't quite the case. As we came back from commercial, and Braun is still, being escorted by security, but he stops at the door, and one of them puts his hand on his shoulder and tells him he needs to – well, it should be saying he needs to leave, but it sounds like he says you need to weave. Hi to Sweet Productions. How are you? I don't think I've subscribed to you yet, but I will hit you up with a subscription. My apologies. So instead of saying leave, it sounds like he says you need to weave. And Braun just goes nuts and just grabs them all and just starts throwing them through the doors, through tables. And he pretty much just like, lays them all out, and he just says, "I'm not finished, and I'm not leaving until everyone gets these hands." So he continues on walking through, and we'll be seeing more of him in a little bit. Um, Next up, we have a rematch from last week. The Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus taking on Titus Worldwide, Apollo Crews, and Titus O'Neil, who got a clean victory over the Bar last week. So first, like, this is just a rematch to be another 50-50 booking situation just for the Bar to get their win back, so nobody will wins here in this little rivalry. So so the match they had wasn't too bad. I would say it was as good as last week. The interesting part was towards the end. There were just a couple hot tags that was in there. And like the ending similar to what happened the last week happened again, where like Apollo Crews kind of like tried to do a distraction on Sheamus, but he did a backflip off of the apron onto the outside of the ring. But then Cesaro was there to get him down. It looked like Titus was going to roll him up for a sneaking small package victory. But that didn't happen, and it looked like also that the ending was a little bit more dramatic than it was last week, also. But it looked like at first they're going to get the victory, but then Sheamus and Cesaro seemed to have them in the palm of their hands. So I'm like, oh, here comes a 50-50 booking situation. But it did happen as Jason Jordan's music hit. He would come out as the Bar about to finish off. I think it was Titus O'Neil or Apollo Crews, one or two, whichever one it was. But then Jason Jordan came out with the distraction pretty much just for no reason. I'm like, why is he out there to distract him? But then Apollo Crews would then roll up Sheamus with a schoolboy pin, and Titus Worldwide gets a victory yet again. So it looks like they could be getting inserted into the Raw tag title picture, maybe for the Royal Rumble match. I'm not sure. If that's the case, I gotta hope one more team gets inserted as well. Either the club or the Balor Club, or even the Revival or something. Because I don't want to see two triple threat matches in the same pay-per-view. To me, that's a little bit too much. Although I shouldn't be saying that, because at the time, we did have just Brock Lesnar and Kane taking charge since Braun Strowman was fired. So I wonder if Titus Worldwide is starting to get a tag team push or whatnot, which I'm kind of hoping does happen, because I want to see Apollo Crews get somewhat of momentum going here on the main roster. But they win the match. Of course, they have Seth Rollins coming out asking Jason Jordan like what was he doing. But Jordan's smiling, explaining himself again, just being a prick and just being full of himself again, slowly teasing that heel turn from Jason Jordan, which I hope comes soon enough. Then we go back, and Braun is still going back and just wrecking havoc. And he's asking someone backstage, like, where is Kurt Angle's office? And he points down the hall. He kicks the door down. He goes in there and just trashes the place. He throws pretty much everything, like chairs and anything he could find, just into the TV and busting it out. And Angle wasn't in there, so he walks away. And it just, the cameras wants to, look and see how bad that TV looks. And then we had a shot of them of the catering section where someone runs in and says, "Hey, Braun's coming, look out!" He comes in and he flips over the tables. He of course choke slams Kurt Hawkins. Threw one of them, had food on it, borrowing one food, and then there was a man carrying a tray of cake, just standing like so still, and like worried that Braun was gonna choke slam or something. Braun just grabs a piece of cake and walks away. Like, "Hey, Braun, can you grab me a slice right? I can go for a piece of cake." But he grabs the cake and he walks away. And then Enzo makes his entrance with Tony Nese. He does his usual thing with "My name is Enzo Amore," blah, blah, blah. And he's saying, "I'm doing better than Kurt Hawkins. Make no mistake about it." And Braun is a monster among men, but so is he. He might be walking down the ring to the Royal Rumble looking like Frankenstein, but he's going to be walking out of the ring as Cruiserweight champion. But if he's Frankenstein, then what's Cedric Alexander? Dracula? Because he sucks. He got some muscle marinara last week, but if he wants more, he has to get through his garlic Tony abs, referring to Tony Nese. And Cedric Alexander comes out, and also out comes Goldust. I still don't understand what the heck is going on with this whole alliance with Cedric Alexander and Goldust. It's very strange for some reason, just very random to me. And Goldust tells Enzo he shouldn't dare compare himself to a Boris Karloff because if he was in a film, he would go straight to DVD. And that Cedric says how it's a box office smash, a blockbuster. When he wins at the Royal Rumble, there'll be only one word to describe him: champion. Goldust has one word for Enzo, and they pretty much just mock Cedric. Enzo's soft thing, this soft catchphrase that he does pretty much. Hey Robbie, how you doing, man? And it spells out soft. Then we have Cedric Alexander. Well, first before we get to the match, we had after a commercial, we had Braun Strowman going through chairs and just really taking out the referee, the dumpster, just continuing to wreak havoc backstage, just destroying everybody pretty much for the most part. And the match we had Cedric Alexander and Tony Nese just felt pointless. I didn't really care that much at all. Cedric won with the lumbar check, and Enzo just looked defeated and just walked away pretty much, like just knowing he's doomed pretty much at the Royal Rumble as their match is official. Robbie says, hey, Michael, see if Dana broke the crunch numbers for us so we can become Horsemen Worldwide. Maybe a better name than Horsemen Worldwide, maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, sure, someone can crunch some numbers for us. Let's do that. Thank you for a suggestion, Robbie. Then we have backstage, we have Kurt Angle with the referee saying he's never seen anything like this before. And he has no choice but to call a SWAT team on Strowman. And then John Cone, the same referee who was in the ring when the ring collapsed between Braun Strowman and Big Show last year, comes in and tells Kurt that that Braun is heading for the production trucks, and Angle freaks out and says they're worth $12 million, and they run to the trucks where Braun is getting inside one of the TV trucks, and he tells him he'll shut the whole show down and asks what happens if he smashes some of the equipment before accosting another crew member and heading into the back of the sling stuff around and orders everyone to leave. Pretty much they all go through the door and get out. But then Braun just looks around, and then he just steps out, and he goes to he leaves, and everybody else goes back to place thinking everything's okay. But he's like, nothing to worry about here. And then all of a sudden everybody starts falling, gets knocked over, and Braun has moved the production truck forward and unattached it from the trailer. And he seems to leave it running, and then Angle comes over to him telling him that he's called the cops, and Braun tells he's going to stop what he's doing, but then all of a sudden he does another impossible, and I was shocked that he did this because once again, you think Braun Strowman hasn't done it already. I mean, he lifted an ambulance, he pulled down a set with the grappling hook, but then he does this. This truck is pretty much a semi. He takes the semi and he tips it over. A lot of horsepower, tip it over. A lot more horsepower a semi has. He tips over a semi. He gets into Kurt's face and does his roar, going, roar! And then he starts making his way out to the arena. And he goes over to Michael Cole. I'm like, oh, sweet. Michael Cole is annoying at times. I could go for it, see Michael Cole get a beating. Haven't seen that happen in a while. The announcers try to get out of the way, but Cole stumbles over, and Braun picks up Cole and grabbing him by the pants. He holds like a sack of garbage, and then Angle comes in with the security guards arriving, and he tells Braun to settle down. He's called off the call to the cops, and Stephanie McMahon has rehired him. He's still in the title match. He's about to go to the back, but then he turns around, grabs Cole, and just throws Michael Cole into the pile of security guards. And because of that, Michael Cole was not able to be on commentary for the rest of the night as Tom Phillips came in to replace him. Now, this was it as far as what all happened with Braun Strowman. They just did it all in this first hour pretty much, of him just, wreaking havoc, for him being upset about being fired and being taken out of the Universal title match at the Royal Rumble. The stuff he did was fun, fine and dandy, typical Braun stuff. It was entertaining and whatnot. Here's the problem I have though with this. It led to absolutely nothing new. Like there was no stakes raised. Um, no stakes raised in the match. It wasn't like, okay, Braun, we'll give you your match back, but if you lose this match, you're fired, pretty much, or something like that. Unless they do something next week, there was nothing new that was accomplished. So after this all happened, it just all kind of looked pointless to me. It's like, okay, that was fun and whatnot, but what was the point of it if we never really got anywhere with it? Like, I need something more to help me, want to see more than just Brock, Braun, and Kane fight in a match that I just really don't care for. So, it pretty much was like, they got scared because Braun started attacking everybody. So just, get him to stop, they gave him his match. That's like, punishing somebody, but, they're whining, complaining. It's like if I was a father and I took away my son's favorite toy or whatnot, and he starts crying, but I'm trying to teach him a lesson, and then have him to like learn from his mistakes and what. And then when he behaves, I'll give it back to him. But no, instead, Braun Strowman just goes nuts, tearing stuff apart, which is fun. He's flipping over a big semi like he did. But they pretty much just put everything back to the way it was and just let it be. Like, why? Like, what is that supposed to teach you? Whatnot? And plus, also, Roman Reigns didn't get any punishment at all for almost killing Braun Strowman in an ambulance. And heck, Randy Orton got rewarded as trying to get his opportunity back after burning down Bray Wyatt's house. It's like, where's the continuity here? What's the point of all this happening? The end result is just this. So I'm just like, that's it. Whenever they just call off the SWAT team and just gave Braun his match back, it made no sense really. It was going somewhere interesting, but then it kind of tanked them. Like, what? But yeah, that was maybe the first hour. The second hour still wasn't too bad. We had Asuka versus Nia Jax. I think this is the first time we have seen these two wrestle since they had their match at NXT TakeOver The End. The match, for the most part, not too bad. It was pretty solid. It was pretty competitive. But there was not a finish to the match because Asuka had tried to do some kind of attack on she threw a kick into the back of Nia's leg, and Nia just fell flat on her butt on the steel steps, and the way she landed must have probably hurt her leg in some way, because Nia Jax was unable to get up and put weight on her left knee. So because of that, they stopped the match pretty much. Now, I don't know, again, if this was, a legit injury for Nia, or if it was just an angle pretty much to protect both Nia and Asuka pretty much. But Alexa Bliss came down to ringside to be at her side, and then so then backstage, then we had Kurt Angle trying to pick up the scraps from his from the attack by Braun Strowman earlier in his office, when Jason Jordan comes up to him, and Jason Jordan, being all smug and whatnot, says he wants to thank Kurt for all the opportunities he's given him, and Jordan says he's been behind him the entire time and ready to help if Braun Strowman attacked on behalf of his partner Seth Rollins. Though he wants to offer to defend the tag titles at the Royal Rumble. As for tonight, he wants Seth to wrestle Finn Balor to keep him sharp, and Kurt pretty much just agrees to the match pretty much. So that was our main event: Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, a rematch from the Universal title match, the debut Universal title at SummerSlam in 2016, by the way. Commentary gives us an update on Michael Cole, telling us that he's been very shaken up by the manhandling he was given, but if it weren't for security, it could have been a lot worse. They then toss, and then they show a package for Martin Luther King Day and a 10-bell salute. This way to honor this day, for what Martin Luther King did for our country, to make, just people just trying to bring world peace, between the civil rights movement and whatnot. Just respect the differences we have in each other, pretty much, and just mentioning his dream, pretty much. So again, thank you to Martin Luther King for everything you did and spoke out for what you believe in as well, to try to bring more peace to this country. We have backstage, we have Alexa Bliss putting ice on Nia's knee and apologizing, saying she thought Nia would destroy Asuka. And then Enzo comes up to ask Nia how she's doing, and she returns the favor, and neither of them wanting to admit how they're hurting. And Alexa tries to run Enzo off, but they're not having it, and she leaves instead. Enzo says, sorry, Nia got hurt, and they have just an awkward moment, pretty much, because this whole love story is pretty awkward the way it is. Now this was actually cool. I like this, and I liked what happened afterwards. It was pretty much a squash match with the Revival, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson taking on extra talents of Aaron Solo, who is I believe is the boyfriend or fiance of Bayley in real life. But him and Ricky Starks, pretty much. Just pretty much a squash match, just put over the Revival as they hit the Shatter Machine on Starks for the victory. They're being interviewed afterwards. If they're asked if they are sure they finally want to give the Revival a live mic on national television, what we just saw was a clinic in tag team wrestling. He says something that's been missing here for quite some time, because guys are too worried about running to the back to play video games or check how many likes they got on Instagram, but not them. They're just worried about master holds and winning matches. And they're asked which legends they're more excited about next week, and Dash questions the idea that Stone Cold, HBK, or the Outlaws are old school. In fact, they're the reason the business has become a mockery, and the Revival aren't sports entertainers. They're professional wrestlers. I was so happy when they said it. I'm like, yes, somebody speaks out finally. We are not sports entertainers. We are professional wrestlers. Dawson says they are not boardroom creation, and they don't want them to succeed. Next week on Raw 25, there's going to be a ton of superstars from around the globe, but this is their universe. And there's only one team that's going to set the tone for Monday Night Raw for the next 25 years, Jack, and you're looking at them. So, again, this, a great promo by the Revival. Get them going again. For those of you who don't really watch NXT or whatnot, the Revival was just an amazing team on NXT. Two-time NXT Tag Team Champions. They had that great motto, no flips, just fists. What makes them a great heel tag team, is they look like they're unstoppable because of the great psychology they play in matches as well. They're not just like a typical, heel team that just, pull off, simple typical heel tactics. Like, there's just something about them and how they wrestle. Like, they find a way to win, like, cleanly as a team, pretty much, if you know what I mean. It's just a very interesting psychology they do. They're fun to watch, even though they're supposed to be heels, you cannot help but just enjoy watching them. So I do hope they get into the tag title picture very soon, maybe by WrestleMania, who knows. But then we have Elias in the ring to sing the song, and of course welcomes by saying, I got one question for you all. Who wants to walk with Elias? And he says he hopes Michael Cole is okay. He talks about the Rumble and says he's the most concerned about one superstar, and that's who the song is about. And he starts singing about John Cena, how he wants retribution for after Christmas, what happened at Christmas. After a bit of an argument with the crowd, he sings a little intro for The Miz and The Miz Taraj before we go to break. So with him calling out Cena, I got to address this also. Samoa Joe was apparently injured in his match against Rhino last week, something with his foot. At first, I heard he could be out for 6 weeks to 4 months, but now I've heard he could be out for just 2 weeks to 2 months, pretty much. I've heard rumors of. When they showed the Royal Rumble graphic tonight for the men's Royal Rumble match, that's another thing I didn't like about this episode of Raw. Nobody knew announced their entrance into the Royal Rumble, and there's 2 weeks left, and we barely know who's in this match at all. But Samoa Joe's was not in the graphic at all for the men's Royal Rumble match, which has me wondering if Samoa Joe is not going to be able to compete in this year's Royal Rumble match. And when Elias called out John Cena for wanting to get his revenge for what he did to him on Christmas, I was wondering, don't tell me they're going to do a Cena and Elias match now at WrestleMania. That could be me just overreacting a little bit. But um, but I do hope if Joe is healthy enough, they'd still do Joe versus Cena at WrestleMania 34. So hopefully Joe's injury is not too serious to his foot. He'll be back in just a couple weeks, right before, and be back in plenty of time before WrestleMania. But he introduces the Miz, and Miz gets on the microphone. He says, last week the fans greeted him on his return with welcome back chants, and he says that was awesome. Only 6 weeks to get such a welcome. So clearly, folks recognize that he is the spark of what was missing. Not John Cena, not Brock Lesnar. It's him. Last week, Kurt Angle granted him his rematch for Raw 25, and it felt awesome. And also, what also felt awesome was that him and the Miz Taraj laid waste to Roman Reigns as well. I got a couple of the comments in the live chat. Andrea Ziegler, what do you think about? What did you think about? Do you think about the finish to Raw? I will get to that at the end of my episode. And Johnny Plays mentioned some as well of some nice returning move. I'll also mention that in our main event as well. But thank you for the question, Andreas. I will definitely get to that. So the Miz says it was awesome. Also, delay waste to Roman Reigns with the Miz Taraj, and it was an unforgettable moment that kind of makes a Raw TV juggernaut. But those moments are the kind of thing he does, which is why the USA Network is giving him and Maurice their own unscripted, I like how he said, unscripted series. And next week he'll overdrive like he always does in a moment. People will remember for 25 years that he tells Roman that the Intercontinental title is his. He made it relevant and prestige, and he's going to reclaim it next week. And that is going to feel awesome. So then Roman Reigns makes his way down to the ring for a 2-on-1 handicap match against Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Just a standard average match, like 2-on-1 match. What did you expect? You really expect, the Miz Taraj to take out Roman Reigns. So it was more about, just the Miz trying to, get them to wear him down, so that way he will be able to get to him when we get to next week as well. But it did not really work because Reigns won by spearing Axel. And Reigns just stares him down. It did look like he was about to run back down and do something. The Reigns, but of course, as always, the Miz backs off. I'm still predicting next week what's going to happen is exactly what happened the last week in their main event, the 6-man tag match between Rollins, Reigns, and Jordan against the Balor Club. I'm predicting, because Jason Jordan last week, caused a distraction and gotten away, and because of that, the Balor Club won. I think that's going to happen next week, and it's going to cause Roman Reigns to lose the Intercontinental Championship to the Miz and put the Intercontinental Championship back on Miz. Yes, Johnny Plays. So I think the Miz is going to reclaim his Intercontinental Championship next week due to Jason Jordan's interference, causing to get more heat on Jason Jordan as he slowly turns heel, hopefully before WrestleMania. Again, though, with Ambrose out, though, I still don't know what's going to happen to Jason Jordan or Seth Rollins. I do not want to see Jason Jordan versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. That's not, to me, that isn't a WrestleMania caliber match, in my honest opinion. So, so that's what happened in that. We just have a couple of recaps of what happened earlier with Braun's Rampage. And then we also got hyped up for our main event, Rollins versus Balor. And then we have this match I will briefly talk about, but there is a situation involving this match that I do need to address and talk about. The match was Sasha Banks taking on Sonya Deville, which was just a bland match. It ended with Sonya Deville it was a very pointless match, nothing really to it. Again, I have nothing against Sonya Deville or Mandy Rose, but with what could be happening with Absolution, what I'm about to talk about, Sonya Deville is still kind of green in the ring. I don't think she's as developed. I think she could have used more time down on NXT. But she beat Sasha Banks just by kicking Sasha in the gut when Sasha was just trying to jump off the rope and just nailed her in the gut with a kick, and that's how she won the match. But I was gonna wait, but I need to address it here. So I'm sure a lot of you heard the rumors that started on this past Friday, I believe it was, that apparently Paige was told by WWE doctors a doctor from WWE, that she will be unable to wrestle due to her recent stinger that happened in that house show match with Absolution taking on Paige, Bailey, and Mickie James due to that drop kick to the back of her neck that re-aggravated the surgically repaired neck by Paige. First off, my honest opinion, I kindly say also is I do not blame Sasha Banks for that injury. It was a freak accident. Things do happen. I don't blame Sasha. I'm not going to. But there have been rumors surfing around on what's going to happen with Paige. A lot of people are saying that it has not. Here, the thing is, though, it has not been confirmed by Paige or WWE.com that Paige's in-ring career is officially over yet. So that's why I don't want to say it's officially over. I mean, there's a lot of other sites saying that it is, but WWE.com and Paige herself hasn't said so yet. So that is why I was going to do a video when I found out about it on Friday, but then I thought, let me wait until I hear for sure whether her career is over or not. But I will address, my thoughts on what the situation is here right now. So I did read an article today that apparently Paige had been told by other doctors not to wrestle. The doctor who did her neck surgery, Dr. Juan Uribe, I think the name was, she's been told to wear some type of brace on her neck, but she always has him. And he has told her she shouldn't really wrestle anymore, but it's more been like a please don't do this. It's like, I'm holding you down. You can't wrestle anymore. And she was saying stuff like how this is the same doctor that worked on Nikki Bella's neck also, but Nikki came back for a brief run. Well, now Nikki Bella is taking some time off also. Then again, Nikki, like her fiance John Cena, is doing other things outside of WWE as well. But I'm sure she may be back sometime soon. But if this is true that Paige's in-ring career is over, it really sucks because everything she's gone through the past year and a half with her personal life, the suspensions, her relationship with Del Rio, which was, I can't really judge it, may have been somewhat unhealthy in my opinion, but if she wanted to be with him, that was her choice. She's 25 years old. But, I was happy she was able to make it back to WWE. I really didn't think she was. She was welcomed back with open arms. I was just so happy to see her back because for me being a late bloomer fan, Paige is somewhat of a hero to me because until Paige debuted, I didn't really care that much about women's wrestling. I give credit. AJ Lee was a great champion. Unfortunately, though, it didn't quite catch my attention until Paige came up. And yes, I won't deny. At first, Paige caught my attention because of her looks. I will not deny and say, I'm sure a lot of people do. Paige is a very attractive young woman. I think she is. But I'm not going to go stalking Paige and, trying to track her down when I hit that. But, her in-ring talent is what really made me a fan of hers. And for being, young, she's only a year older than me. She's 25. I'm 24. She's only a year older than me. That was what attracted my attention to Paige, as she's a younger talent, and she's a young person like me, in the early stages of her career. She's an inspiration to people of what you really can do at such a young age like that. And just everything she had gone through, making her way back, and she was finally, finding her niche in this whole Absolution role. And now, thanks to that little stinger, she might have to give it all up for good now. Now, they did announce, though, that she is definitely out of the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble match, but she was still at ringside. But they didn't say she was done for good, but she was at ringside. I knew she was going to be on Raw because I follow her on Instagram, and she was updating her Instagram story a few seconds, raving about her makeup and whatnot. And she was in ring gear and everything. So it was not like she looked like she was limited or anything like that. But she was just at ringside, watching the match. But I know some people might think, maybe that Paige is not done for good. Well, the only thing I got to say is, what if they're not doing anything about Paige announcing she's done for good yet? Because I heard rumors they're still trying to figure out a backstage, a non-wrestling role for her. What if that's what they're trying to figure out? That's why they're not saying anything yet. Here's the thing. I would hate to see Paige have to give up her in-ring career. It would suck. But if she really is not listening to doctors' advice, then it's for her own safety. I as a fan just want to see Paige healthy. And because the last thing I would like to see is a girl at 25 years old have me put in a wheelchair or whatnot, have her neck destroyed pretty much. So I gotta say is I hope Paige just gets through this If she's healthy to wrestle, if she feels that she can do it, let her do it. But I just hope Paige is healthy. As for Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, though, if Paige is not, healthy enough to wrestle, I really think they should put Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose back down on NXT. They have great potential, don't get me wrong, but without Paige, they really aren't much of anything at this point, in my opinion. They still need to be developed in some ways. So it would really also suck for them if Paige is unable to return to the ring. But like I said before, I'm not believe myself yet that Paige is for sure done, but I'm not believing that she's going to be able to return to the ring either. All I'm saying is let's wait until more reports come out. Because WWE.com has only confirmed that she will not be in the Women's Royal Rumble match. She shoot, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But she is not saying she's done yet for good for sure yet. But again, I'm wondering if they're only did this because they're not sure what role they would give her if she wouldn't be wrestling. Any thoughts in the comments section? Hey, what's up, TN Couponer? Could Paige be a manager and Absolution get another member? It's quite possible, as long as it's somebody who is worthy of filling Paige's shoes and being an actual manager, pretty much. That could be a situation as well. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Paige on commentary either, if that was the case. My other question, actually, I just thought of, I'd like to ask my viewers as well, is what do you think if Paige is not able to wrestle by WrestleMania, at least, if she does not come back for sure to the ring? What should the WrestleMania match with the Raw Women's Championship be? Because honestly, I wouldn't want to see Alexa Bliss and Asuka, because that match just happened on Raw a couple weeks ago. If it happens, it's going to have to be some type of other stipulation to it, in my opinion. I mean, I thought I heard a rumor that they may do it next week on Raw 25, but they didn't advertise anything for tonight. So I'm assuming that idea is out. So if you have any suggestions, I'll leave it in the live chat of what or in the comment section after watching this video, of what you think should happen with the Raw Women's title picture if Paige is unable to compete by WrestleMania, or if she does not come back to the ring at all. But let's move on now to the next thing. We have the backstage in the locker room where Seth Rollins is taping up his wrists, and Jason Jordan comes around, and Seth tells him when he starts interfering and speaking on his behalf like he did. Jordan says, and he pretty much just been saying that he's not unhappy that Jordan got him like the match or did what he did earlier tonight, but it's just how he did. He's not happy. I was like, we're a team here. It's not just about just you and doing whatever you heck want to do. We're a team here, and we have to do that. He's like, George says he can go cancel the match, but Rollins says he doesn't want to make up for losing the match last week. But they're teammates, and they're each other's spokespersons. He doesn't have a problem with what he did, but he does have a problem with how he did it, pretty much. So again, tension continues to be teased between Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins, just show more how much of a prick, and letting Jason Jordan get his ego get to him that he's Kurt Angle's son, where he is in his career, just coming full of himself once again, hopefully leading to a full Jason Jordan heel turn down the line. Then we have Matt Hardy versus Heath Slater. We didn't have Bray Wyatt there also, so Matt Hardy just squashed Heath Slater pretty much in this whole thing where, Rhino's trying to make Heath Slater toughen up, and it's really haven't been working too well for them because they've been losing ever since. We also get an announcement of Goldberg's induction to the Hall of Fame. Goldberg, as of now, will be the headliner for the Class of 2018 Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Goldberg. He had an excellent career in WCW, winning championships, the 173-0 streak. His first run in WWE didn't go out too well in 2003 and 2004. He came back last year. He had a brief run with Brock Lesnar, which was good. It wasn't 5-star excellent as we probably could plan for, but it was still excellent to wipe away from the bad memories he had before. He's talked about in this WWE 24 special on the network. If you've not seen that yet, please check it out. And so yes, I definitely think he's very well deserved of being in the WWE Hall of Fame. And if the Undertaker announces his him being in the Hall of Fame next week. Also, it's possible. If not, we'll see what else he does. But like, Undertaker could join the Hall of Fame as well. So we'll see what happens next week. Again, congratulations to Goldberg for getting into the Hall of Fame. They run through the Royal Rumble card. Again, all the matches. The graphics, of course, are the same as what happened. The graphics that were last year. The only difference is I noticed this year that last year they had the cruiserweight graphic purple and the SmackDown matches blue. Raw and everything else was red. I don't know why they have everything just red this year, but again, I don't like when I use the same graphics unless it was like like awesome and traditional. I don't like when I use the same graphics all the time. So they could change it up there, but this having it just all red this year is kind of lazy in my opinion. But yeah, Goldberg's in the Hall of Fame. The Club and Balor make their entrances, and then Finn cuts like a promo in like the corner in the picture talking about how his first match against Balor was the greatest moment of his career. And then the accident happened, but then there'll be no accident, and when he's with his good brothers by his side, it'll be too sweet. So they make their entrance. Seth Rollins and Balor, for the most part, had a pretty solid match. It was not as good as their SummerSlam match, definitely, but for a Raw match being only like 10, 15 minutes, it was still a pretty solid match. I just noticed even more how much familiar their styles are pretty much. We didn't get, any interference on the outside, like in the match from like, Gallows and Anderson and Jason. Well, Jason Jordan did one interference. He did pull down Finn Balor's leg at the end. But some weird stuff did happen in this match. First, we had the botched 3 count. There was a time where Balor did have Rollins rolled up, and it looked like they did. He did get the 3 count on him, and I was confused as to like, okay, that was a 3 count, but they looked like he counted the 4. It's like that was 3. Like, I was super confused by that. Another thing that was confusing about this match also was the bar came out. And I thought maybe they would at least tag Jason Jordan, but they went over and they randomly just started attacking the Balor Club for no reason. They just start brawling with them, and I just didn't get why that happened. They brawl, and then that was it. I'm like, okay, like why weren't they attacking really Jason Jordan? They started attacking the Balor Club. Like why would they even go attack each other? They have no issues with each other right now. It didn't make any sense at all. But besides that, the ending was awesome. Well, Finn Balor, did go for a splash and a coup de grace went out, but he didn't hit it. No, he got out of the way of the coup de grace, and that's when Jordan did pull Balor's leg down. And then earlier in the match, they did have Rollins trying to hit the ripcord knee strike, but he didn't hit it. But not even joking, I popped big time when this happens. Rollins not only beat Balor, he hit him with the curb stomp. I marked out when he did that. My jaw dropped. I'm like, I was just literally listening to the Talk is Jericho podcast the other day when Rollins was talking about how that the curb stomp was banned because after looking at it when Rollins won the title, Vince thought that it was just too easily imitatable by young kids, going as far as saying that he could see Shane doing it to Stephanie when they were kids. So because of that, he banned the move. But I was shocked to see Seth use that move again. I'm like, is it back for good? I hope it is, because that move is awesome. It's Seth Rollins' own thing. And it's I definitely a lot better than the ripcord knee strike, I feel, in my opinion. So I just went nuts and get over that. So Rollins wins the match. After the match, though, they just have it, stay on the Balor Club for a long time. No reason. I don't know if they're trying to, emphasize, Finn's effect from the curb stomp or whatnot, or if there's just something else in mind that's going. Because I still wonder with the Balor Club reuniting, if they have something up their sleeve plan for down the line, especially with how the way Balor announced his entrance into the Rumble, and then asking if he had parts of the administration, he pulls out the Balor Club. So, and he does mention also about how if he has to win the Royal Rumble, gives Universal title shot, then final do it. But the way it all came together, I'm like, interesting. Does Balor have a plan in mind, pretty much? Which is why I've also not done a turn alert yet for the Good Brothers or the club, because I can't tell if they're baby faces or heels at this time. But yeah, so I definitely thought that ending was very weird, but I love the fact that Rollins did the curb stomp again. I hope it is back for good because it's an awesome move and I love it. TN Coupon in a live chat says, if you could have Bliss versus Mickey in a career versus title for Asuka match at WrestleMania, have someone attack her so that Asuka can't compete in the Rumble. Okay. Before she enters the Rumble, of course. Possibly that's what could happen if they want to, protect Asuka, have her win the title, have someone win the Royal Rumble from SmackDown or whatnot. That could be interesting. Yeah, we could have Asuka's career on the line at WrestleMania if you want to do that. I like the idea. Good job, man. And also to answer the question, let me see here from Andrea Ziggler, what do you think about the finish to Raw? Again, I thought it was strange. It was just weird how they just stared down at the Balor Club and nothing really happened. But again, I don't know if it's just emphasizing the effects of the curb stomp being back. It makes me wonder more. Again, with how Finn delivered that promo when the Balor Club reunited, it made me wonder if Finn's got something up his sleeve, and if they're not being clear of whether or not Gallows and Anderson are face or heel, if the Finn Balor will be turning heel when the Balor Club forms. And I'll give it to them. I said last year, with how bad they're booking all three of these guys, I probably wouldn't be able to take them seriously. But now they're teaming up, they're still interesting me in some ways. So we'll see what happens. I also do not understand why the Bar just attacked Gallows and Anderson for no reason at all. I mean, I know I said earlier I would like to see the Raw tag title match, a fatal four-way, if they're going to put Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil, Titus Worldwide in there, because we already have a triple threat match with Kane, Strowman, and Lesnar. I just feel maybe put the Revival in there or whatnot, but they haven't really built them up too much. They only gave them a match against Jobbers this week. But if they're going to put, the club in there, how can they get it now? I mean, besides they attacked, the number one contenders, even though Apollo Crews and them beat the number one contenders twice, which they have a legit reason why they should be in the tag title match. But the club, they just go after the club. They have no issues with each other right now whatsoever. It just didn't make sense at all. And Rollins beat Balor, so why should they earn a title opportunity, in my opinion? Didn't quite make any sense. But thank you for the question. I do think The Miz wins next week. Johnny plays, and any surprises next week. So I'll actually, let me answer T and Coupon's questions first before I talk about Raw 25. Do you think at Mania could be Balor versus Lesnar versus Reigns? I'm completely fine with that at all. I mean, if they do just Brock and Reigns, I'll be just like, whatever. I mean, the match will probably be good, but I just won't care too much. But I wouldn't mind seeing Balor get his Universal title shot. He's never gotten his rematch. When's he gonna get that rematch? Because he never lost the championship. So for Raw 25 next week, I mean, they announced a ton of people that are going to be on the show. Sergeant Slaughter, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, the Bella Twins. John Cena is probably going to be there. The New Age Outlaws, I think, are coming also. The APA. There's a lot of them they announced. I can't think of off the top of my head. I wonder if we'll get an appearance by The Rock, hopefully. I think the biggest return everybody's hoping for is Hulk Hogan as well. But as other surprise returns, I'm trying to think. Maybe Triple H. I don't know, Daniel Bryan will stop by, whatnot. I did see on the poster for Raw 25 the New Day. I mean, New Day were part of Raw last year, so maybe they'll be there. Not sure, but I'd say the biggest surprise a lot of people, myself, would like to see is Hulk Hogan make his return. That would be awesome. So yeah, so for Raw 25 next week also, just to mention my plans for that. At first, I was not going to do a live review on my channel for Raw 25 because next week I'm having over some friends, including my good friend Daniel Gaiza, and he wants to do a live review with me on his channel after the show. So I'll definitely do that. But since it's a special occasion, I do have some people, who don't follow Dan, which if you don't follow Dan on YouTube, please follow him. But sometimes, I don't get to always get all my thoughts out in collaboration as well. So I will, for a special occasion, I will still do a live Raw review. And when I do a review with Dan for TakeOver Philly or the Royal Rumble, I will still do my own for those because the occasion of what it is. And also, we're still planning on doing it, but we also may do live reactions throughout the whole show of Raw 25. So if you want to tune in to Daniel Guy's channel to see mine and his and maybe a few of our friends' live reactions of Raw 25, feel free to do so. We talked about maybe having some Labatt's to cracking them open whenever Stone Cold Steve Austin makes his appearance in the Glass Shatters, just to, for the celebration. So it's gonna be a blast. I think Raw 25 is gonna be an awesome show next week as well. So we'll see how it goes down. Hopefully it's a very awesome, memorable show to go down with. But yeah, that was Raw, and that pretty much wraps up this review. Thank you again for those who tuned into the live chat for your questions as well. Before I go off the air, as always, let me just see what we have here for my Twitter polls and whatnot, and see what grade you guys would give Raw for this week. We had 8 votes. 13% said A, 38% said B, 25% said C, and 24% said D. So a bunch of, mixed, grades in there to give tonight's episode of Raw. I thought about it. It was not too bad of an episode, but some things that were a little weird. Again, I like the stuff with Strowman, but the fact I didn't really lead to anything kind of, flat the tires me for that. The first 2 hours weren't too bad. The only thing I didn't really like was the match between Cedric Alexander and Tony Nese. That was kind of boring. The third hour was kind of blah. The 2-on-1 handicap match was what it was. The match with Sonya Deville and Sasha Banks was kind of flat. Woken Matt Hardy and Heath Slater was whatever. But the main event was still good, despite the weird 3 count, and what happened after the match was good. But the match was stalled, and also return of the curb stomp. Can't take away from that at all whatsoever. Robbie asked, did you like that promo by the Revival? Yes, I did like that promo. As I said before, it was awesome. I again, of course, loved how the Revival said, "We are not sports entertainers. We are professional wrestlers." Again, as I said before, I endorse the Revival big time. If you've never watched my NXT, if they do give them the time up on the main roster, you will love the Revival. We're just taught the great psychology and just a great old school style tag team they are. No flips, just no fists, no flips, just fists, because they go hard all day, all night. And if you know what I'm about, know them very well, just say yeah, pretty much for me right now. Yes, thank you for the question, Robbie. But yeah, so my grade for tonight's episode of Raw, again, despite some weird things happening and a little bit of an inconsistency in that third hour falling a little bit flat, in my opinion, I'm going to give this Raw a B-, like an 80% B-. It was still a good show for what it is. What are your thoughts on this on tonight's episode of Raw? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, be sure to click that like and subscribe for more content to come to this channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirboy93. I can't believe I talked as long as I did. Again, I thank you for tuning in live, and I do apologize again about me looking all worn out. And again, I just have a really bad cold, and I'm just not really feeling 100%. So I'm going to go lay down, get my review from the 2012 Royal Rumble exported right now also, and get that uploaded as I hope to end that series this week as well. So again, thank you guys for tuning in live. Make sure to tune in on tomorrow night also for my live review of SmackDown Live. Since Goldberg is getting inducted to the Hall of Fame as announced today, I shall say before I go off for the offline for this review, SmackDown Live, you're next.